Hey everybody, this is Rick. I know I just recently had a Q&A session, but I get so many emails that I thought I would share some more already while I'm still in Texas. I'll be here a few more days, and I am actually coming. I'm only going home for 36 hours, and I'm coming back again. So if you send me a book to work on, I apologize, but I'll be traveling for the next couple weeks, probably at least, till I can get home. I'm only coming home for my son's birthday for a while. It's lots of work going on. So let's get to it. So first one reads, Jim Davies reads, Rick, I want to drop a note and say how much I have enjoyed your videos. And of course, production assistant Nolan. Good old Nolan. Nolan's my son. Former longtime collector, I decided it was time to get the collection in shape and pick up a new hobby of cleaning and pressing. So I'm in my trial and error and learning phase, which is great. I really want to build a community here where we share information and help each other. Dry cleaning is interesting, but I think your cleaner will help on some books. Dry cleaning is great. Dry cleaning helps with a lot of stuff. Wet cleaning is just extra and, as I say, fraught with hazards, as all cleaning methods are. I really appreciate the fact that you have applied some thought and science to this process. Thank you. Your videos are very educational. I love your passion for your books. You tell some great stories I can relate to. On another note, I love the UW swag. I worked for the athletic department there for 14 years, meaning in the university. UW means the University of Washington, which is cool. He did. As a communications director, fun. Tons of great memories. My last event there was the basketball game in the Heck Ed, where we finally beat Gonzaga and Grant Morrison to get that monkey off Coach Romar's back. If our daughter had come along, I probably would have stayed in Seattle, but I opted to move back to the other coast so my mom could enjoy her only grandchild. Very sweet. Put an order today. Happy to be a follower. Cool. Thanks, Jim. He's really cool. Stephen Nathan writes, hey, I may need some guidance fine-tuning my wet cleaning technique. What I did was one pass with cleaning solution, let dry for 2 minutes. That sounds good. Second pass with cleaning solution, wiping more lighter areas. After dry a few minutes, distilled water wipe off. Some color came off with the ink, was bleeding a little bit. So I wonder if I did too much, should I reduce one of my passes? What do you think? Do you use your cleaning solution from the 80s and later books, or is it always 70s and earlier? Thanks, Steve. That's a tough question because I have so many Spider-Man books that I've cleaned that are from the same eras, and the identical books, and sometimes I'll pull them out and clean them at the same time. Same book, same exact area, same cleaning method, different results. When the output changes without any appreciable change to the input, it makes you wonder what is going on. The only thing I can figure is that there's a lot of variability in the ink in books when it's applied. And he asked the question, does your cleaning solution work with books 80s? Yeah, it works. I've used it mostly up to about early 90s or more. After the pages get more slick, in the early to mid 90s, there's a lot more ink on the pages. The tremendous amount of ink when the paper got thicker and shinier, and therefore there's more of it to come off. The good news is it doesn't. There's more. You can take more off without noticing it's gone, but bleeding at the edges is always going to be a risk. It's always a problem when you get a book wet at all, that could just always happen. It's the water, not the soap, by the way. Even if it was just water, it would do it. If that does happen, it's just the paper isn't sticking to either the sizing is not sticking to the paper, the ink's not sticking to the sizing very well in the paper. And if that does happen, I usually stop immediately and I just clean it. If this is the edge of the ink and this is the white, I wipe in from the white towards the ink, and it cleans that way with a Q-tip, typically, not really a makeup pad, and it keeps it from spreading if that does happen. Look at how much ink he got off here. Look at the red. Reds are always the worst. Reds, if you see red, I almost just avoid cleaning it. Honestly, because reds come up really easily. And look at this dirt he got off of his pads. There's a tremendous amount here, and then here not so much. And look at this. Look at his books. I mean, he says he's not doing a great job, but he's really good at this. Look at his book. Look at this dirt and schmutz here, and then it's just gone there. And here by that Lego, and then you don't see it. Well, there's a little bit. Overall, this book, right here, look at that. He's cleaned this book up very nicely. Look at that. Guy, this book looks fantastic. He's obviously pressed it too. It looks really nice. Even the staples lined up well. And look at that. He's doing great. Here's the cover. He's an X-Men fan, obviously. Look at this spine tick he got out here and here. And I don't see much else. It does look a little brighter, a little smoother. Here's the Spidey face logo down the side. I can't tell, it might be the light, but this looks, well, it's not the light really. It does look brighter on his face. Looks good. So he's basically becoming an expert. I'm going to hand over the reins to him soon. He's done a great job, and his photos are awesome too. So, my advice is you get a little bit of bleeding. It's okay. I mean, people freak out though. It came up. Yeah, you know what? It's gonna happen, dude. It's the old ink comes off and exposes fresh ink below. Just don't blow through it, obviously. Clearly, you won't want to do that. So, what do we have next? I wanted to discuss. Jay Hayes says to me, he writes, a long time ago, like 1995, a long time ago, I was talking to the owner of a comic book store, as we all do, right? He was telling me that naphtha could be used to cleaning comic books. Many say the same thing. That isn't all. I never had the guts to try for fear of damaging the book. He offered to show me how, but of course on my books, not his. I guess no risk for him. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah, sure. So naphtha, what is naphtha? Naphtha is, we call it pet naphtha or petroleum naphtha. And why do they call it pet naphtha? Probably from naphthalene, most likely, like mothball stuff. It is distillates of the petroleum process that are left over. And we call them paraffins and cycloparaffins. Paraffins are just straight chain alkanes, which are just straight chain carbon. Maybe I can just get a picture and show you guys. Maybe it's easier to do that here. Let's see. Pet naphtha, they call it. They are, molecules that they're aromatic, meaning that they're in a circle. So if you want an aromatic molecule, it's going to be one of those hexagons. Let's see if they have a picture of one here. They look like this. They've got this benzene ring kind of thing in them. What I use is toluene. So I'll type in toluene. I guess this is a long way. I don't want to show you that. I want to show you what the molecule looks like. One of the things I use the most often is toluene because it looks like this. Well, yeah, and so it is less dangerous than benzene or a lot of aromatic compounds, like meaning it won't give you as much cancer. And so this is going to be like, you saw that ring, right? That hexagonal ring. This is going to be mixtures of things with more than one of those rings stuck together. Why do we like those delocalized electron rings for cleaning comic books? We like it because it's not too polar and it won't pull the ink out of the book as much. So it's good. So my short answer is, yeah, naphtha can work, but I don't use it. Why don't I use it? Because naphtha is not the same thing every time. So naphtha is just distillates of petroleum, and you do not know what you're going to get. One time it's this, that time it's that. Even the bottom of the top of the can sometimes of the stuff comes in can be completely different things. It's really cheap as a solvent. And so where do I use it? I use it if I have crayon on a book. If some kids put crayon and I want to get crayon off of it. I do use it if I want to get like the adhesive from like a label or a sticker off, although I've gone away from that as much. I use like a putty more to sort of pull that stuff up. I get it hot and then I use like a putty to lift it. Because heating adhesive is the best way to get adhesive off. I don't really use naphtha anymore, but if you have like a sticker residue, naphtha can take that off. Once in a while, the naphtha pulls 100% of the ink out of a book instantly. Most of the time, it does not. So I don't play with this stuff myself. When I want something that's sort of a non-polar solvent, I go to toluene. That's the one that I use. And I put surfactants in it too to help lift any of the, basically to help it penetrates the book pretty well anyway, but the surfactants I use sodium dodecyl sulfate and a couple other ones that I put in it, and it helps to like draw some of the things down in the paper out further. So that's what I do. What do we have here? Chris Stevens, who's always fun to read these things from. He writes, I love what he writes. He says, watching your video, thanks for time to address those concerns. I had a thought concerning wet cleaning and subtractive restoration. I love that term. Cool, glad. What about a very, very, very low power vacuum kind of contraption? So he's getting his brain spinning up. See, he's part of our crew. With a small surface area opening for control management and light suction as to not pull up on damp fibers. This would no doubt require some very fine tuning, I suppose. But were this to be achieved, it would be a much better solution in terms of time and quality, something to mull over, you being the inventive sort. I would have multiple settings or a dial, a maximum vacuum would be none at all, thus allowing the cleaner to modulate airflow. I do know they have little vacuum thingies for cleaning electronics. So what I do is I put the whole book in a vacuum chamber. I would never like aim a vacuum like at a specific page, because it could go wrong. You would be really sad. That's fraught with hazard, as they say. I do have a bell jar vacuum chamber that I can pull a vacuum on. I will occasionally put a book in there, and not a full vacuum, not like 2 millitorr or something like that, So I would go down to atmospheric pressure 760 torr, so I would go down to like 300 torr or something to just help the book dry a little better and that nice poop. But it ends up that sometimes like deforms. If the book is in there and the pressure's drawn down too quickly, the book will kind of, if there's still some air pressure in it, it'll kind of wrinkle up on itself. So just the natural tension on the book itself can kind of express itself a little more when it's low pressure. So sometimes the book will just kind of crunch up. So another way to do it is to put it in an airflow chamber. So put it in a small like plastic bin and put hose barb fittings on either side, and then not a true vacuum, but put a vacuum pump on one side of it and let the air go past it. Or you could put a pump and drive air, but I'd rather vacuum it because a lot of the pumps have oil in them and you don't want the oil landing in your book. So just use the vacuum and just let the air, just have air flowing by the book, and that will actually, through the Bernoulli effect, will lower the pressure in the chamber and help the book to dry quite a bit faster if that's what you're getting at. But man, I wouldn't do it myself. He also writes, if the nozzle were all the way down on the paper, it would technically be pulling air through the paper from the other side. We probably don't want that. I don't know it would hurt it if the paper were dry, but wet, I would never do it. Is my reasoning correct? He says, so nozzle will be slightly elevated by some little round plastic. He's like saying hold the nozzle off. Like he's saying put a ball so you're not directly on it and you're driving air. I don't know. Maybe it would work. Suddenly occurs to me that my physics of vacuuming is far from certain. That's true. The thing I worry about is that if the book is porous, it won't really do too much, meaning that the book, the page is dry and you're drawing air through it. Like if there were dust in it or paper fines, that would probably work. Honestly, it would do something. I'm not sure that you could see it. But if the book is wet, then it's not porous, and it's going to try to jump up he's already understanding to that nozzle, and it might rip it. And it would happen fast, and your instinct would be to try to pull the thing away, and you just rip a hole in it. So I would be really cautious. The amount of space between that thing that contacts the actual paper and the actual vacuum opening could be adjusted to serve as a dial mechanism. I see. You know what? My instinct says that it's fraught with hazard, like I've been saying all the time. But it could work. I have all kinds of crazy cockamamie ideas that I don't think are going to work and that do. So why don't you build some? Can you 3D print it and try it? Give that a shot and see. Just tell us how it works, because I'd be interested to open this up to the community. Thanks, Chris. I love your Chris. I'm going to call him Cockamamie Chris for his crazy ideas. So it's fun. But here's the last one here. We got Pony, who's sending me a Hulk 181 to work on. He's a great guy. This is his book. Look at this beautiful book he's got. He wants me to clean up. I'll probably clean up these interior pages for him too. He's trusted me enough to work on this little gem. So what I'm going to do is, I usually look at the books to see what the stuff is people are going to want me to clean off, and I have an IR spectroscope, so I clean it off, and I can tell that way whether if it's foxing or not, or what it is, and it just informs me how to clean it, and I can do it non-destructively because I have ATR, which is attenuated total reflectance. It's a little diamond, and it bounces the light off, and it just tells you what. It puts IR energy into the molecules, and they vibrate a certain way, or rotate or translate. I don't want to just say vibrate, and it tells you can read it. If you know how to read it, you can tell what it is. So he wants me to take this off the top here, which I can do. That's probably going to be no problem, and to look into it for him. But mainly, he asked me recently. He says, "Rick, I watched your ASM #1 video. Thanks, man. That, sir, and your AF-15 is a gem, right? The AF-15 is great. I love having an AF-15. It's just awesome. Maybe I'll clean it and press it on the video sometime." In your video, you mentioned how you love that old book smell, and I do. I sometimes I'm going to cry whenever you smell these old books. Do let me know what Hulk and Wolverine battle with sweat and blood smells like to you. I mean, I love that. It's so poetic. What does the Hulk and Wolverine smell like to you? It smells like, boogers and wet dog, I imagine. It's so awesome. Oh, it's great. I never had a good sense of smell ever since I nearly knocked myself out smelling ammonia used to balance the pH of industrial size tank bacterial cultures. What the heck, dude? You're just using straight ammonium hydroxide. When he says ammonia, he may mean ammonia gas, which he very well could, which is even way worse than ammonium hydroxide, which is the stuff you use in your house, which is stinky enough. If he does, he's lucky to be alive. That stuff is awful. It burns so bad. It fries my eyes out, my nose. I mean, it is like really bad. So I really feel for him. He says, I was 21 years old interning at a vaccine pharma company. I will enjoy the scent of old comic book vicariously through your expert nose. Oh my dear God. Poor guy. I worked with hydrazine and ammonia. Hydrazine is like two ammonia stuck together. If you don't know, maybe I should find a hydrazine for you guys. Hydrazine is monopropellant rocket fuel. So if you hydrazine, well, it's not really, I guess, two ammonia stuck together. But if there were an extra hydrogen, it would look like two ammonia stuck together. It looks like this. And ammonia is ammonia is NH3, and hydrazine is N2H4. If there were another, here, I'll just type it. So ammonia looks like this. And there's this little bent part here. But ammonium hydroxide is the stuff that you have in your house to clean with that we call ammonia, but it's not really. It's this. It's these two things put together. So that's a solution of ammonia and water, essentially. It's a strong base. So that's what that stuff is. And he's burned his nose out, poor guy. He said, do you have a science and chemistry or laboratory background? Most people can't even pronounce spectroscopy. It's spectroscopy, let alone know how to operate and analyze it. Yeah, so I am a research scientist. I'm an electrochemist, but I also work for the CDC in viral load hazardous waste treatment for viral load and early infant diagnosis testing in what we call PEPFAR countries, and mostly in Africa. So I work for the CDC. I have worked for Aerojet rocket research and catalyst and monopropellant and bipropellant testing and analysis, and even XM46 gun propellants for the Air Force, and metal finishing. I'm very good at electroplating, surface preparation. I work at a place called Modumetal, where I make tiny nanolaminated structures to prevent corrosion and strengthen metals. I also teach green chemistry and sustainability at the graduate school at the University of Washington, and I teach chemistry, sustainability, entrepreneurship, and environmental science at Lake Washington Technical College in Kirkland, Washington. I also worked at Boeing, and I did stealth coatings and electroplating for their circuit boards for the military aircraft in space and defense at Boeing for a while. I worked in lots of printed circuit board shops where there's a lot of electrodeposition, and I did consulting for a while. I've done a lot of different work. So I've done work on spacecraft. I've done work in military, what we call ordnance and tactical systems. I work in nanotech and green chemistry now. And that's my background, and of course, loves me some Spidey stuff. So thanks for everybody for writing in, and Pony, I really love this email, man. Thanks for trusting me with your really expensive Hulk 180. He's sending a book for me to clean for him. It'll be here this week. I'll do my best to get to it. I may not be able to get to it till late in the month. I'm trying to be home more often, but anyway, that's my video for now. That it's 5 a.m. here in Texas. I got to get up and go make the world a better place for science. So anyway, I'm off. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.